Hey, writer, ready to take your fiction to the next level? Whether you've just got a great idea or you're already stuck in the murky middle of writing your book, the Wicked Good Fiction Bootcamp I designed just for you. This 8-week self paced online course gives you the tools, the guidance, and the support you need to get to the end of your book and know that it is wicked good. Head to suzyvidori.com/bootcamp or follow the link in the show notes for more information and get started today. I'll see you inside where I'll be there to support you as you comment and share your work throughout the course. Welcome to Show Don't Tell Writing with me, Suzy Vidori, where I teach you the tried and true secrets to writing fiction, nonfiction that are going to wow your readers, broken down step by step. We're going to explore writing techniques. I'm going to show you a glimpse behind the scenes of successful writers' careers that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And I'm also going to coach writers live on their pages so that you can learn and transform your own storytelling. Whether you're just starting out, you're drafting your first book, you're editing, or you're currently rewriting that book, or maybe even your 10th book, this show's going to help you unlock the writing skills that you didn't even know you needed, but you definitely do. I'm so looking forward to helping you get your amazing ideas from your mind onto your pages in an exciting way for both you and your readers so that you can achieve your wildest writing dreams. And you're going to also have some fun doing it. Let's dive in. Today, we welcome Alyson Hathaway to the Show Don't Tell Writing podcast, and we are going to do a one-page Show Don't Tell review from her work in progress. Alyson is a software test engineer, and she's a 20-year USAF veteran and general bookworm who both reads and writes primarily urban fantasy. She almost always incorporates history, mythology, and alternate universe or secret world elements into her writing because she started reading with a Greek mythology picture book and it stuck. She was born and raised in Massachusetts, but currently lives in California with her husband and 2 children. And today we are going to read a page with her from her work in progress, and then we are going to brainstorm ways to add some shooting to it. So I'm going to read you that page right now. Well, what do you have? Dr. Rangard was almost hopping foot to foot as he peered over Ariadne's shoulder, trying to make out the details of the surface she was delicately brushing clean. The sun baked her shoulders, the top of her head, the sandy dirt where she knelt. After 2 more brushstrokes, she sat back on her heels and wiped the back of her hand across her forehead. Sweat stung her eyes. Sure, she lied and frowned at the slab of baked clay as if confused. It looks like linear B, but this is much larger than any of the other tablets we found so far. Some sort of larger report or announcement, maybe? Dr. Rangard muttered unhappily to himself before turning to wave over. Mullins! He added a piercing whistle to get the younger man's attention. A moment later, Mullins's head popped into view over the edge of the dig pit. The intern waved back, then finished climbing up the ladder to jog over to Ariadne and the site lead. Damn, she'd really hoped Rangard would bite off on the announcement lead. The man was smart, though. He wouldn't have been leading the dig if he weren't. She patted her hip, found the canteen there, and took a long glug while they waited for Mullins. Mullins was going to be even harder to distract or mislead than Rangard. Maybe something more direct. Here, Mullins, have a look at this, hey? What do you think it is? Dr. Rangard had out his notebook and was already scribbling notes. Ariadne here is guessing an announcement or linear B, but this framing is unusual. And the script isn't quite right, Mullins agreed as he crouched across from Ariadne, looking at the tablet from the other end. You can tell when you're upside down to the writing the way you two are. Of course, linear B isn't your specialty either, is it, Ariadne? No, she said, instead of spinning the smugness right off his face. It isn't. It didn't need to be her specialty. She'd been there when the scribe had copied out the text, and it certainly wasn't just linear B. Better with later, my Sian and Greek. Lies, lies, lies. She smiled pleasantly at Mullins. Mullins leaned in for a better look at the carved lines. She saw the moment when he realized what he was looking at. His eyes widened, and he held his breath before letting it out on a sigh. You probably have a libation table, he said, and she frowned briefly. Mullins was lying too. Then she put on a curious expression and leaned in as well. Oh, well, that's unusual for this area, isn't it? We have all the documentation of the dig, the photographs, yes. We're going to need to support our findings when we publish. Most of the libation tables I'm aware of are on the other end of the island. We still have most of the site left to uncover. This could be another temple. Dr. Rangar was working himself up. He'd been dreaming of finding a major site for years. Ariadne had been trying to steer him away from this one for almost as long. It's likely something much simpler, she said with a shrug as she sat back on her heels again. The LiDAR didn't show any extensive remains, and this is near one of the trade roads. It could have been made near here for another site. Maybe Zakros? Welcome to the show, Alyson. It's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, Alyson, before we dive into this page that I've just read, I just wanted to get to know you a little bit. What's the name of this book that this page is from?
I haven't
Does it have
actually
a name
named
yet?
it. No.
And is this your debut novel that you're writing?
I would say yes. It's my first composed novel that I'm trying to actually finish. My friend and I have a writing partner, and we've been writing together for 12 or 13 years. We have several million words worth of an ongoing story, but we haven't actually taken the time and broken it out. So this is something independent of that.
Oh, I love that. You guys are going to have so many books to pull together at some point, right?
Absolutely.
How do you like writing as a team? How do you do that? How do you write together?
There's kind of two flows that we go through. Sometimes we're both like on Discord or another program, and we each kind of take a character and throw them back and forth. In this situation, we'll improvise. It's a very yes and mythology with
Yeah.
acting. But then the other thing we'll sometimes do is each write 3 or 4 pages or a short like interval with one character specifically, and then see where that goes.
That sounds like such a blast. I hope it probably ends up being a little bit complicated to try to pull those into books, but I bet it's fun while you're doing it.
It's a lot of fun while we're doing it. The editing is the most complicated part, yes. That's why we haven't gotten further with it.
Yeah, I wish the listeners could see because we record this on video, but we don't use the video. I wish they could see you smile and how much you truly enjoy working
Oh,
as a team there.
oh, she is absolutely my best friend. So,
I love that. I love that. Okay. So, yes, and she's your best
mhm.
friend, and you're writing this independently now. So,
Yep.
what made you want to start this book at
So,
this moment in your life?
so this actually started as an action scene from a story grid workshop. And I
Okay.
saw that you just had one of the blogs about the story grid.
Yes.
And I just I put out the scene and we got feedback a little bit on it, but then I was like, I really think I can do something with this. I can take this farther. So,
I absolutely agree. I can't wait to start brainstorming with you on it. Okay, so this scene started out as a story grid scene example from a workshop, right?
yep.
And but how far are you? Have you written more to the book, or is this the very beginning of it, or where are you at in the writing process?
I've got a loose plot and I've done some writing beyond this, but I haven't gotten anything as I would say complete as this
Okay.
is.
For your loose plot, where in the book does this scene appear, do you think?
This is early, but not at the very beginning. I'm thinking that the beginning is going to be a little bit more kind of intro to her as a character and some of the background, but this would be probably like chapter 2 or 3.
Okay, chapter 2 or 3, and this is the beginning of a chapter that you've sent?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I would call it that.
perfect. Excellent. And can you tell us what you think this book is going to be about?
I think in my one line, I said, hey, she's been protecting her brother from the world and the world from her brother. So it's
Yeah.
going to be about that sort of conflict of where does family intersect with when family is not a good person or thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're meeting your character at this really critical moment, which is why I love that you sent the scene
Mhm.
where she discovers something that is potentially really important and she chooses to lie. That's the page that we just read, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to dive in because I have so many questions. I can't wait to talk
Sure.
about this. Yeah. And I love that you chose this one page because I always ask writers to choose a page, not that you think is fully polished, but a page that you
Mhm.
know needs some showing details. And I
Yeah.
think there's so much going on, Alyson, in your mind when you do this. And then I looked at the page and there was so much missing. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear. And I know it's a really early draft, so it's not
Yeah.
fair. But that's why we're
No.
workshopping it and brainstorming it together. There is a lot of teasing on this page, is what I would call it,
Yeah.
where you're hinting and you're holding back, right? So as
Mhm.
a reader on this page, I'm not learning much. So there's room to educate us. You write urban fantasy. This is about Greek mythology.
Yep.
I think it's an interest of yours. You know a lot about it, right?
Yeah.
So let us know something about it too. So I wanted to be a little bit more involved, especially because Ariadne is really brilliant at this. So we're in her point of view, and I wanted to learn a little bit more. So most
Okay.
of what I want to talk about here is how to put those details on the page without being an info dump, right? Like where do you put them? And
Mhm.
how do you make it less cryptic?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
even in a mystery, when something's
Hmm.
happening, and even if you want to hold it back, and we can talk about whether you were trying to hold it back or not, I don't know the
Hmm.
answer. But even when you think that you want to hold it back, it's almost always the right answer to give the reader something, even if it's a red herring, even if you're putting them in a different direction. But you have to
Yeah.
answer some of these questions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so we want to make sure that this part is really moving the story forward. So there a few well-placed details, or I'm going to immediately bring this to life. Okay,
Okay.
so let's go. I bet you know these details, and you're going to be like, "Of course, it's this and that," and we're going to be like, "Why is that on the page?"
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of fun. So, for example, on this first paragraph here, what do you have? Dr. Rangard was almost hopping from foot to foot, and I made a few suggestions here just to take out the passive voice or to take out some of the filters.
Sure.
And I'll send you this afterwards. But as he peered over Ariadne's shoulder. So when you open this scene, I actually made the assumption that we were in Dr. Rangard's point of view. So it's not a hard and fast rule. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. But if we're
Hmm.
in Ariadne's point of view, which we are in this scene, right? We're in her head. Oftentimes, if you start with that character, then we automatically make that assumption. So it's a little trick to make it easier on your reader. Do you think you'll have more than one point of view character, or is she going to narrate the whole book,
She's
like
going to
from
be
her
the
point of view?
primary. If I
Okay.
have another character, it's going to be very secondary.
Very secondary. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just make sure that you're doing more than one scene in somebody else's point of view, right? Because
Yeah.
that's not very satisfying. So we want to
Yeah.
have 20% of the book or something in somebody else's. They can still be secondary, but if you're going to do it, otherwise, find a creative way to keep it in one point of view. Because if you
Hmm.
just flip for one scene, it's discombobulating for the reader. Okay. So he's peering over Ariadne's shoulder, trying to make out details of the surface she was delicately brushing clean. Okay. So this really, I actually made a few comments, and then in the next paragraphs, I realized that we weren't in his point of view. So because we feel like we are there, and that's a tricky thing, but you can see you're like, oh yeah, I see it. So if he's trying to make out the details, we can't know that, right? Just watch because it's a point of view error if we know why he's doing things. And later on, you tried to accommodate that, and I'll show you where, and it
Hmm.
worked better. But here, I would love to see it in her point of view. And what are we seeing? To make out the
Okay.
details of the surface she was delicately brushing clean, there's no reason why you wouldn't even add any words to actually show us something. So I don't know what it looks like. So I've got a few suggestions here in the
Yeah.
margin. Take them if you love them. And if you don't, then you know what they are, right? A slate
Yep.
gray surface was emerging where she delicately brushed the soil away. I don't know. A pale square with a dull sheen emerged, right? Or something
Yeah.
better, but just show me. I want
Sure.
to feel
Yeah.
what it's like. I assume they're archaeologists of some sort, right?
Yeah.
Or thieves. I don't know. Maybe they're both.
No,
Um,
so interesting
yeah.
you say that. It is an archaeological site, but the other character, Mullins, is not so ethical. Let's put it like that.
And I can tell that from these pages. So I'm
Yeah.
excited, but they at least are trained as archaeologists. So make me
Yeah.
feel smart. Show me what that feels like. And feel free to lean in without being boring about it and giving me a dissertation on how to
Yeah.
unearth a dig. But if you know those details, then share them with us, right? Okay, so moving on down here, after two more brush strokes, she sat back on her heels and wiped the back of her hand across her forehead. Sweat stung her eyes. So great showing details there. Excellent. I can feel that. I can almost taste that sweat stinging my eyes, right? Like excellent. I'm not sure. She lied and frowned at the slab of baked clay as if confused. I was like, okay, wait now. Now we're getting somewhere. This is interesting. So, will we know why? I haven't read the opening. Will we already know why she lied, or should you be sharing that right here?
You will have at least a general understanding of why, and it boils down to they are getting too close to the site where her brother is being held.
Okay. Okay. So she
So,
lied. So I would love, even if we know that she doesn't want them to get close to the site where her brother is being held, I would love to follow her logic. So one of the coolest elements that we have in the written word is this inner thoughts element, right? Something
mhm,
that you can't do in film or plays or all these other mediums. We get to be in her point of view, so use it. So dole it
right.
out. So we don't want to have three paragraphs saying, no, Ariadne didn't want them to get closer to her brothers, blah, blah, blah.
You're
We don't
right.
need to explain it. Put it right here. She lied, thinking quickly, because I don't actually understand why she would lie about this thing if they're getting too close. Or is it because if it's really interesting that they would get closer? Like, why would she lie here? How would that protect her?
When the tablet is revealed more, and again, later on the page, it talks about it being a Rosetta Stone of sorts, where you have three
Yes.
languages. If or when that gets translated, it is actually her and her brother's original story.
Okay, so she's not a human that's just an archaeologist. Okay,
No.
and we already know this. Okay, so even a hint here to say she recognized it and it was too precious for their eyes or something. Give
Right.
us something to show why she's lying here would be great because even if we have that backstory somewhere
Hmm.
in the opening chapters, which is great that we're actually talking about fantasy and she's more than meets the eye. I still really wanted to know why she was lying here. So you don't have to give us the full story, but something. Follow her logic. What I
Yeah.
was missing here was what does she want and what are the consequences, right? So
Right.
he wants them to let her be. Maybe she stops, like maybe she's brushing it really slowly,
Hmm.
hoping to pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe or to wait until they leave. Maybe she suggests they take, like, what would she do? So, if what she wants is for them not to see how important this is, then what are the things that she might actually do? What are give her agency here? Have her doing things to hide it. She can lie, yes, and
Yeah.
she could move her body and she could ask them about something over at the other side of the dig that maybe would
Hmm.
send them over there. I heard so and so was looking for you, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I would love to see her be a little bit more tricky to try to do this, right? Here, you're doing a great job. This other guy, Mullins, comes up and he comes over to her and she says, damn, she'd really hoped Rangard would bite off on the announcement lead. The man was smart, though. He wouldn't have been leading the dig if he weren't, right? So
Right.
I love even this damn. Like, that is an amazing showing detail where you're using her inner voice or her inner thoughts to show us what she thinks. So what you're doing is you're making meaning of this activity for us. You're
Hmm.
helping us understand. So I was looking for that more, but this is a
Okay.
great example of how to do it. So you've got it here. She doesn't want him there. It's very clear. She doesn't want him there. So what does she do? Think about I'm hoping that she's going to be like a really smart, sassy, strong female protagonist in this
Yeah.
archaeology world that is probably very male driven still, rather than have her sitting around just continuing to do her work diligently. What else might she do to try to hide this? Give her some smarts here.
Yeah.
So when Mullins arrives, have we met Mullins before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so the place where you actually can do a little bit extra info dumping, or not info dumping, but give us a little bit more detail without it feeling like info dumping, is on first meeting of a character. So it's not like 3 pages in, right?
Yeah.
Where I've already pictured them. So you can get away with when a new character pops up, especially he literally pops up out of a dig pit, right?
Yeah.
So show me a detail or two about him the first time that we meet him. So you've got that he's smart already, but I
Hmm.
didn't get anything else that's going to help me recognize him later. Because sometimes, especially when you have a lot of characters and we're picturing them all in like archaeological dirty clothes,
Yeah.
dirty uniforms, or I don't know if they actually wear the safari hats and things that we see on in the movies. But yeah, like a couple of things. Maybe his glasses were smeared with dirt and his brow glistened with sweat. That might help me remember him a little bit better. Maybe his hat was listing to one side and he wiped his palms on his brown shorts, right?
Hmm.
He's pretty pedantic in these descriptions. I don't know if that's right. Is he eccentric? Is he wearing a bright red silk blouse, even though that makes no sense on the dig because that's just who he is, right? So give me something, show me each character when they first appear in your writing and give you a detail or two. Visuals are great. It's going to be primarily visual, but they might be maybe he whistles through his teeth or he clicks or like something to help me remember him because otherwise they start to all blend. There's a bunch of guys with her, right? How do we make them different? I really disliked him when Brancard was correcting her. So
Yeah.
Ariadne here is guessing an announcement, linear B, but this framing is unusual. So he's basically like mansplaining or correcting her without being so overt, right? I would love for her to react to that. She reacts a little bit later.
Yeah.
Does she notice?
She is actually going along with his, not the correction part. She's hoping that he will take that linear B rather than what it
Okay.
actually is.
Yeah. So let us into her thoughts here.
Okay.
So
Yep.
maybe what would she be doing physically? Holding her breath or brushing casually or trying to be nonchalant? Does she argue it? Does she try? Does she just hope? Does she have any powers? Can she change his mind? I don't know.
She does not have direct powers like that. No,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay. No, well, I'm just saying sometimes magic's your get out of jail free card in these
No, I
situations.
make
But
it
yeah,
hard on myself.
you make it hard because there's not a ton of magic in it. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's a skill in itself and definitely has a huge audience. But yeah, okay. So she just let her react because here, I mean, she does on the next page, like at the top of the next
Hmm.
page, she does start to react. She just answers calmly instead of spinning the smugness right off his face. So she is reacting. We know that she wants to react, but she's not. We just don't know why. So I actually love that. That's my comment that you got.
Yeah.
Instead of spinning the smugness right off his face. So we're learning about your characters as they interact. We're learning that she's a bit measured, maybe a bit of a hothead and needs to pull back. I wasn't sure. Then she'd been there when the scribe had copied out the text. So now that you've actually given me the information that this is her origin story, that makes sense. But when I read it, it didn't make sense. So if we don't know that yet, then you might need to connect that with the object.
That'll
Because I
that'll
don't,
be part of the like
yeah,
that intro
okay.
chapter or so.
So she knows what she's uncovering and she's
Yeah.
trying to do it. Yeah. So she should probably stop brushing right about now.
Yeah.
Find a way to stop uncovering this while there's all
Yeah.
these men that she doesn't want to look over it. Okay. So here's where you did remember to stay in her point of view, right? She saw the moment when he realized what he was looking at, his eyes widened and he held his breath before letting it out on a sigh. It's a wordy way to get here, but I see why you did it. But I'd
Hmm.
rather hear her thoughts. There's ways to do it with less words that are more impactful. So try something like Mullins leaned in, squinting at the carved lines, then his eyes widened. Ariadne held her breath. He recognized, I don't know what it is, right? So
Yeah.
I put X, but he recognized the thing in her
Hmm.
words, right? If he told and here's where I want the stakes. If he told the others or if he recognizes it, then why? What's going to happen? Why is she lying? What are the stakes and the consequences? So, what's going to happen if this blows up?
That
So,
makes
that's where
sense.
I would look for that there. So, he's saying you probably have a libation table. So, he's lying also. And then I was like, wait a minute, why is he lying? So then she put on a curious expression. Here's just one where I can't picture that. So you could probably show that, right? So a
Hmm.
curious expression is hard for me. I don't know what a curious expression is, but she maybe cleared her throat and leaned in as well, keeping her face neutral. Maybe that's the
Hmm.
expression, right? Trying not to. Or something better. I can't do anything with a curious expression. You won't put anything in your reader's mind there. So he's lying as well. And then later on, and it's beyond the page, and Alyson sent me a little bit more to read, but later on, he actually suggests that they sell it and make a lot of money. And she goes along with that, but you could tell that she didn't want to. So again, I just had questions.
Yeah. So this is, and I guess more for your personal satisfaction, but
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
so where she's saying, "I'll see you again tonight, brother." This is Ariadne and the Minotaur, effectively.
Okay.
And so she is luring him to the labyrinth at that point where she's saying, hey, meet me here tonight.
Love it. Okay, so let us anticipate that. It's not really a secret. So just spell some of it out because your reader will miss it. It's very subtle. You don't have 100,000 words and we're not trying to cut it down yet, right?
Yeah.
I know that you will because you said that you have millions of words written with your writing partner on other bits. So I know that you will, but spend them wisely, spend those words
Hmm.
wisely and bring us along on the story because it's we always want to surprise readers and be like, oh, surprise, this is the new ending. But if we know what she's trying to do, here's what we set up in every single scene. So StoryGrid will say this as well. You know,
Yeah.
what does the character want? What are they going for? What is their motivation? What are their scene level goals? All of those words, right? Because
Right.
if we know what those are, what happens is as humans reading this, we're excited because we're tracking. We actually want to see her fail more than we want to see her succeed because if she succeeds, it's over. The whole book is
Right.
over really quickly.
Yeah.
But we don't know if she's succeeding or failing unless we know what she's trying to do. So
Right.
the more that you can let us in on her plans, of course, it's not going to go swimmingly. Let us in on her strategy because we as humans, we have all these things that we want. And at the end of the day, we go out and get them in different ways, or we
Right.
don't, and then we don't get them. But we want to cheer for her. We want to be on her side. Is she a likable character? I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to like her.
I would say that if you think about someone who's been alive for, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6,000 years, they are probably not as connected to humanity as you and
Yeah.
I are, right?
Yeah.
So she has, I would say, she's not unlikable, but she has a very different perspective on some things.
Awesome. I actually, it's funny, people sometimes ask what my hobbies are, and I have to share. I watch a lot of television because I
Yeah.
consume story. And so two series that I'm into right now, or two, one of them's a movie, is The
Mhm.
Old Guard.
Oh, I loved that
And
movie.
so
That was a great
yeah,
one.
I
Yeah.
mean, I just watched two because I think it just got on Netflix, but I just watched The Old Guard 2 and I liked it less because it feels like a bridge. Like I'm like nothing really happened in it. It just feels like a
Hmm.
setup for the next one. But I really enjoy that. So you're saying people who've been alive for many years. And then the other series that I've been watching is The Sandman.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
right?
great.
And
Yeah.
again, so people who've been around for millennia, and you're right, they do become aloof and less connected to humanity. But then I would love for her to, it doesn't have to necessarily, it's not all going to go on this page. Also,
Yeah,
I'm sure you
I
have it
know.
in other places in the book, but I would love for her to really be judging these humans that like everybody else in the scene is human, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love for her to be judging or belittling or thinking like, "Oh, geez, you guys have no idea what you're dealing with."
And I
You
was
do
trying
not.
to, but I think I was probably a little too subtle with it.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's why it's fun to do these brainstorming sessions with somebody else because it's like everything is so alive in your own mind and it is on the page, but you're like, oh, okay, it didn't actually come through. I was trying to be aloof, and so I pulled back a little bit too far. You still need to be
right.
giving us something. What is she like? Is she
Uh,
snarky?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
She's tends to be, I think you captured it really well earlier when you said that she's very restrained in some ways. She holds
Yeah.
herself back because, again, complications over thousands of years, but she
Yeah.
doesn't like many people.
Okay. She doesn't like many people. I actually have people in my life that are like that. Many introverted people in my life. My daughter loves to say that she doesn't like people, but that's not really true. It's
Yeah.
just that she needs her
It's
space
just very
sometimes.
selective.
Yeah, she's very selective. And that is an awesome trait for characters. And we need characters from every background. It is trickier. When we want to write, I'll say introverted, it might be a little bit different than that. Somebody who's reserved. But remember, we have their inner thoughts. And so what's cool about it is just because we're introverted or reserved doesn't mean we're not thinking all the things. We're just not going around shouting about it. So sometimes when I make suggestions about sharing their motivations, writers might say, but I want her to be me, who's more introverted and I wouldn't go around shouting what I'm about to do at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
And the answer, right?
Yes.
And the answer is, of course not. But just because we're introverted or whatever doesn't mean that we don't have dreams and motivations and all those things. We just have it playing inside the head. And the
Right.
cool thing about books is that you can show that. So
Yeah.
even if she's reserved, she might be still playing that inner monologue and not showing it overtly. So they don't have to be loud and extroverts just to be able to show these things in a scene. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alyson, for sharing this page. Do keep in touch and let us know how this all goes. Do you have a target when you want to finish writing this book?
Being ambitious, I would say by the end of the year. Being realistic, I would say probably by spring or summer.
Okay. I think we've covered a lot of different places. I think the biggest feedback that I have here is just share a couple of really specific details as you go along to really help us feel like we're at this dig site and have this come to life for us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'll speak to you soon and keep in touch.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Show Don't Tell Writing with me, Suzy Vidori. Help me continue to bring you the straight goods for that book you're writing or planning to write. Please consider subscribing to this podcast and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you're listening. Also visit suzyvidori.com/newsletter to hop on my weekly inspired writing newsletter list, where you'll stay inspired and be the first to know about upcoming training, events, and writing courses that happen in my community. If you're feeling brave, check the show notes and send us a page of your writing that isn't quite where you want it to be yet for our Show Don't Tell page review episodes. Remember, that book and your writing is going to open doors that you haven't even thought of yet, and I can't wait to help you make it the absolute best. If you're feeling called to write that book, keep going, and I'm going to be right here cheering you on. See you again next week.